Our second speaker is Burçin Gerçek, a PhD student from Clark University. And she's going to talk about the local saviors who try to protect local Armenians from genocide, from destruction. We have three characters here. One, Tahira from Muradiye, and Müküs from Müküs, and Murata from Erciş, and their stories.
Muradiye, Müküs ve Erciş'ten 3 kurtarma ve direniş.
So before moving on to the three stories of salvation, I would like to refer previous session. I'd like to say one thing on the subject. Hilmar Kaiser made a very interesting presentation, and something has attracted my attention. Government decisions was a breaking point. Well, I am doing some work in the field, and I unfortunately do not agree with this, because the state officials who resisted to the orders were positioned in such a way that they could not cause a breaking point, because they were dismissed from their office, they were left in solitude, and in other times their lives were turned to hell. Other times they lost their lives. And this was not only limited to 1915 and went all the way to the Republican era, actually. That the contract of Turkishness was broken, so to speak. So I cannot agree with that breaking point. And now I'd like to continue with my three stories.
Van vilayetinde soykırımdan hayatta kalan Ermenilerin tanıklıklarında
in the testimonials of people who survived in the Van province, we come across three names. Tahir, who was active between Muradiye and Keleni of Iran, and Muhtila Bey from Müküs, and Murat Aga from Erciş Gratskar village. These three names try to stop the killings, deportations, and the massacres by facing up to the state. And particularly for two of these, they pay a heavy price. Tahir is killed, according to testimonials, but the archive records talk about a different ending for him. And Murat Aga seems that the tribes kill his sons and nephews. Okay, we'll start with the first one, Tahir. Muradiye is the new name for the Bargari village. And Tahir Bey acted in a very conscientious manner. Many Armenian men from the Bargari villages were taken to the labor battalions to officially be put to use in the road-making activities, as they said, in August 1914. And in April 1915, 15-year-old boys were also included in these battalions. And they are later on killed at the Shaitan Bridge, the Devil's Bridge. And then, when the attacks on the village start, some of the Bargari Armenians take shelter in Tahir Bey. The authorities ask Tahir Bey to give the Armenians to the state, but Tahir Bey does not support the state powers in 1915. He thinks this will be a disgrace to his honor, so he doesn't give the Armenians. Well, two different witnesses talk about the same tragic ending, only in different details. According to Mushek Mgrditsyan, Tahir Bey opposes to the killing of Armenians in the labor battalions. This is why, in a dinner he's having with the gendarmerie and the mayor, gendarmerie commandant-in-chief and the mayor, he is intoxicated and killed. And David Farmanian says that Mehmet from Haydaran starts an attack to the Hachan village, and when he refuses to give the Armenians, again the officials give him toxic food and poison him. So this is two ways of killing of Tahar Bey. Both are through poisoning him, but it seems like there are different ways of accounting for his story. Here, Tahar Bey is from the Malashero branch of the Haydaran tribe, and he is known as Tahir Han or Mir Tahir, as the name suggests, the leader Tahir, Mir Tahir. But according to the archive documents, Tahir Han is killed in 1900. So can it be that Muradiye and Farmanian talk about a different Tahar Bey? Well, this likelihood is rather low, because both of these people say that this person is one of the pioneers of the Haydaran village, and there is no Tahar, Tahir, or a similar name who is a vanguard of the village, no other bey whatsoever. And then Muradiye also says that the survivors of Bargir in 1915 go towards Müküs, and Tahir Han also is from the Müküs administrative region. So, how come can two witnesses talk about Tahir Han who wasn't alive then? When Tahir Han dies, his relative Mustafa Bey goes to Keleni and becomes the Han instead of Tahir Han, but then returns to the Ottoman land in 1904. So it might be the case that a member of his family was called as Mala Tahir Han, like Tahir Han's family. So it might be that it wasn't Tahir Han who did this, but his family. But we do not have a different testimonial so far or an archive document to confirm this. Now, why is he a savior? Because his life story is very much intertwined with rising up to the figure of authority and with betrayal by other Kurdish tribes. So it turns into a legend by Evdale Zeynike, and a anonymous savior is identified with Tahir Han in his poetry. Now, I'd like to talk about the second person, Muhtila Bey, an imagination to coexist together in Müküs. In the 45 villages of Müküs, about 4,500 Armenians are protected by Muhtila Bey until August 1915. His family works as the Müküs Mir position for a long time, and in the conditions of 1915, of course, a very extraordinary and a very fragile status is maintained in a way. Karlen Chacha collects testimonials on that people of Müküs say this about Muhtila Bey. Well, it's said that this, and this was said often in the region, Muhtila Bey has 100 eyes, 100 ears. If he hears that someone does something unrightful to if a Kurd makes something unrightful to an Armenian, then you won't be able to take that person out of his hands. And also it's said that the Üzümlü village Armenians under Pervari in the 1895 massacres are also saved by Muhtila Bey. During the genocide, we see that many other Armenians also come and take refuge in Müküs. Again, we know that Muhtila Bey positioned people he trusted in and children in villagers' homes. Well, when this happens, well, as an example, we received an information it was made sure that Armenians were always part of the Müküs Mir positioning, and his father Abdal Bey, when he went to the state, the people, his confidants, were also Armenians. But it is still very surprising that he continued with this position also in 1915. Some people explain this with his high reverence in the eyes of the society and of the state. Of course, Muhtila Bey cannot keep this for a long time. In May, when the soldiers come to the city, then he regresses to Perveri, and his imagination to coexist actually becomes only a dream. And then Muhtila Bey dies in 1922 before seeing that his family is exiled in 1925 with the justification of Sheikh Said rebellion. Müküs Miri is also someone who tries to protect the natural habitat and the natural, specific animals of the habitat. He, for example, prohibits hunting at the times when the goats and the sheep come down the mountains. Do I have time for the third testimonial? Good. Erciş. It is from the Gradskar village of Erciş. In the middle of April 1915, armed men put siege on the village, and about 40 people take shelter in Murat Aga's house. Murat Aga tries to defend, but he fails, and they kill them next to Deliçay. And Murat Ağa at least tries to save their families, the killed ones' families. Now, Gülizar Bedelyan gives us the testimonial. She's from Gradskar. She says, Murat Aga made us eat and took really good care of us. The attackers leave, but then this time the Hamidiye battalions come and they say, we will burn down your house if you have an Armenian with you, and give us the beautiful man if you have any. And Murat Aga says, kill me, I will not give you anyone. So the ones he has at home are saved because the Russian army approaches, but Murat Aga is still concerned and worried. So when the Russians come, the villagers go to the soldiers and say they shouldn't touch the Aga, but still the Gradskar Armenians cannot stay in the village a long time, so they go to Erciş and then in July to Caucasia. Now Gradskar, which is close to Erciş, became the Kadir Asker village. And when we visited the village in August 2015, we saw that it's very much like Richard Hovhannisyan's book. It's in the orchards, it has bostans, which are again fruit gardens and orchards, etc. And there are apple orchards, and we talked to our witness in an apple orchard as well. The grandchild of Murat Aga said that back then there were 30 homes in the village, 15 Muslim, 15 Armenians. And also, although Sıdık Yıldız said there's no more the Aga sort of tribal relation, but again, it is very much present. Sıdık Yıldız heard about his grandfather, and she says that the fact that Murat Aga protected the Armenians caused rage in the tribes living close by. And she said this is why they always were revengeful towards Murat Aga. And one day they beat and batter Murat Aga's son and his nephews. But Murat Aga still doesn't submit to them, they say. But then still they have to leave their village. When the Russians come, Murat Aga and the Kurds in the village have to leave. But it's a very difficult journey, and Murat Aga dies because of the harsh conditions at the age of 60. He loves the nature and looks at the trees for hours long, deeply interrogates the branches and the leaves of a tree, teaches Quran, etc. And they say that Deliçay, the crazy brook, so to speak, took its name from Murat Aga. Someone says, well, Murat Aga went through this brook or river by saying it is a flowing river which looks crazy. I am crazy, so is my horse, so let's call this the crazy river. And obviously he thought that this place, he wanted to remember this place with identification with his grandfather, and hopefully one day it will be remembered like that.